Joining me right now is North Carolina Senate candidate, North Carolina Congressman Ted Budd. Congressman, it's good to have you this morning. What's going on? Will we ever see accountability for the FBI? We know that the FBI was not a victim here. We know that the FBI was well aware that the dossier was all made up, and yet they still pursued FISA warrants to spy on Trump campaign officials such as Carter Page.
Yeah, again, pardon the studio issues here, but look, the verdict doesn't change the fact that the Russian collusion narrative was a total hoax. I know that throughout the trial, John Durham uncovered a lot of information. It really showed that President Trump was doing something great, and that the Clinton campaign was, and the establishment in Washington, D.C., the swamp, was scared to death of what he was going to do. So this is really about the fact that they're entrenched, the fact that they didn't want change, and the people in the United States were clamoring for change. That's what 2016 was about. This is what 2022 is about. And there was still a tremendous amount of evidence uncovered by John Durham. So
what are you going to do about it? Can you do anything about it? I mean, you know, James Freeman, jump in here. You and I wrote all about this in our book, The Cost, Trump, China, and American Revival. And in it, we focused several chapters on this lie that came out of the Hillary Clinton campaign to take down Donald Trump. But it went viral across the world thanks to the media.
Yeah, really amazing, Congressman, when you look at how the FBI, led by James Comey, continued to push the dossier garbage, even after the rest of the intelligence community was dismissing it as internet rumor, even after we learned recently they offered Steele $1 million and he couldn't come up with any evidence to back it up, even after in interviews in early 2017 that the Bureau learned that these were jokes. These were tales told by people over drinks. There was no foundation to them. Even after the government got information, at least by early 2017, that some of this was Russian disinformation, and yet they continued to get renewals on that FISA application. What is the sanction? What is the accountability for FBI officials of that era? Some of them are still there.
Yeah, Maria, what I'd like to say is that, look, we have 5 minutes to say anything we want to say in a hearing, but we're in the minority because Nancy Pelosi has the gavel. When I look behind me on financial services, that's Maxine Waters in charge. On the other side, Chuck Schumer gives out the gavels because he's the majority leader, unfortunately. So we got to win in the House. We got to win in the Senate. And that's when we can take back accountability. We can hold the hearings and we can change the narrative and we can ask what the American people are asking. And that is for justice, because right now, they feel that there is no voice for justice, and they just want the truth to get out.
Yeah, and not only that, but then you've got all these distractions coming out of the White House talking about everything except what's most important to the American people. Look at yields. Look at interest rates. You've got the 10-year yield at 4% this morning, highest level since 2008. Record high inflation impacting how much taxes Americans are paying. The IRS now raising the standard deduction by 7%, and the income thresholds where tax rates take effect, Congressman. And let's not forget about how inflation is cutting into people's ability to spend their discretionary income. They've got to go into their savings account to keep up with inflation. Can you do anything about that should you win the Senate seat?
Absolutely. When I'm all around all 100 counties in North Carolina, they're not talking about yields and interest rates or tax brackets. What they're talking about is the fact that what Joe Biden has done and what my opponent would do is awful. It's already cost them over maybe $8,000 a year for the average hardworking family here in North Carolina just to make ends meet. This is too much money chasing too few goods. They realize that the American Rescue Plan didn't rescue America. The Inflation Reduction Act didn't reduce inflation. In fact, it's making it worse. It supports the Green New Deal, which drives the cost of energy up, which makes it harder on the working families here in North Carolina.
Congressman, I mean, the American people are very clear. They know how bad things are. They know how bad the policy has been. But they do ask the question, what is going to be different if the Republicans take over Congress? What is the answer to that question? What will be different for them?
I look at it like a gas pedal and a brake pedal. The first 2 years is we stomp on the brakes and we stop Joe Biden's agenda when we have the House and the U.S. Senate, and we hold them accountable because we get to investigate what we want to investigate, and that's what the folks are asking for. And we stop what Joe Biden is doing with his Obama phone and a pen, and then we start on 2024. We elect the right president and we press the gas in the right direction, which gives the power back to the American people. And that stops too much money chasing too few goods, puts the people back in charge.
So tell us about your race. You're running for the Senate seat in North Carolina. Polling puts you at a 6-point lead over Democrat Sherry Beasley, and a new New York Times Siena poll finds 46% of independent women are leaning toward Republicans, with just 35% preferring Democrats. Congressman, what's going on in terms of the independents, Hispanics? What can you tell us about the voter population today and where they're leaning?
Well, we've got a strong campaign, but folks are waking up to the fact that the real issues are not what the Democrats are talking about. They're out in left field. They're not talking about things that the American folks and then folks here, the hardworking families in North Carolina, are talking about, which is inflation and crime and education, because parents want to say in their kids' education again. They know what's causing inflation. They know it's Joe Biden. They know it's the policies of the Green New Deal that Sherry Beasley would support. They know that crime's made worse at the border. They know that it's right in our neighborhoods here, that they're not safe anymore because of Joe Biden's anti-police and Sherry Beasley's anti-police policies. So they want to take back control, and they realize that Republicans are the way to do it. North Carolina's always close. It is a statistical margin of error race, so we're not letting off the gas until we see the checkered flag here in 20 days.
All right, Congressman, we'll be watching. Thanks very much for being here this morning, Congressman Ted Budd in North Carolina.